Welcome to Three Guys in the Bible Back to School edition. Now, back to school. I guess, David, you have gone back to school recently,
Yes.
so you have the most recent experience going back to school. Ken, when was the last time you went back to school?
Well,
You don't have to give us a date. Just
Please don't.
I finished college a long time ago, and then but through all, everybody thinks you stop learning once you get out of high school or college, but every career change, there's new to learn, and if you stay in a career forever, there's always new to learn. I mean, there's always new stuff, and learning technology. I mean, I take my hats off to the two of you, younger guys than me, that keep trying to pull me into this century, and so
Ken has
constantly.
a MacBook now, and he has an iPhone 15, so it's a big world for him.
Yeah, look
It
at
is
me.
big stuff.
Yeah.
I remember going back to grad school, and I remember the first. It was a chance to take a free course. It was a free opportunity to start a graduate program. So that's right in my price range, free. And so I signed up for it, got all registered, and went. And I was probably as nervous as I was going to my first day of college. Just the unknown. I didn't know a single, but I didn't think I would know.
Or what
a
to
single
expect,
person
yeah.
in the room,
Yeah.
what to expect, what's graduate school like. I did know the professor, so that was a little bit of comfort. But man, I was nervous that night. It was a night class. Never taken night classes before. That was kind of a new thing. Had to drive about an hour and a half to get there, and so yeah, that was weird. How about back in the day? What do you remember from you guys going to school those first days? Elementary, middle, high school, what do you remember?
I remember I didn't get on the bus the right way. Or like I missed the bus the first day of school, so parents would bring me.
Never a good way to start
No.
things. No.
And I was nervous, but then after I got there, I loved it.
Got it.
Yeah, definitely.
What grade was that?
First grade.
Like a very first.
First
day of
grade,
school.
yeah,
Got it.
first grade, yeah. Kindergarten,
Got it.
I went there too, but my family brought me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man, that would be
was a long time ago.
traumatic as a
Yeah.
child. There went my butt. Did you see it leave?
yeah.
Did you
I
watch
saw
it
it would drive right by. I was like, "Well, okay." I went home and
No.
I guess I
Yeah.
get to go back to bed.
right,
Yeah, that's a free pass.
yeah.
Gosh, that would be terrible. Yeah. I can remember my very first day of college. I won't tell you what class it is because none of you would care. But my very first day of college, 8 a.m. class. Yes, I signed up for those on purpose because then I could be done by noon and have the rest of the day do whatever I wanted. And 8 a.m. class, I show up at the building, never having been on campus before or anything else. I show up at the building, and I go to it was like room 110 or something like that. And so I try to find room 110, which you would assume is on the first floor.
That makes sense.
And so I went. It's 8 a.m., so there's no one in the building yet. And so there is no 110. So I was like, well, maybe the ones start on the second floor. I don't know. So I went up the second floor. There's a 210, but no 110. And so I wandered around for a solid 15 minutes. Finally, I found stairs to go to a basement. Went down the stairs to the basement. The lights were off. It was just the security light, so it's like one every other
Yep.
light down a dark hallway with desks stacked up in the hallway, just as desolate dungeon looking like place as you could finally see on the bottom at the end of the hallway. There was one light in a classroom. And so I walked down that hallway, and sure enough, there was the class in the dungeon of the math and science building. And so you walk into your first college class 15 minutes late. That's pretty cool, too. Yeah. We did get that class moved, though. It got moved to a big lecture hall in the second day of class because no one wanted to be
No
in the
one wanted to be
basement
in
at
the
8 a.m. in the morning with no light.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing ever. Did not enjoy that experience. Not a great way to start college. Not at all. Ken,
Yeah.
come on, you got to have a school story.
Grade school and what's now called middle school. That was fine for me. I had a lot of friends and growing up in a very small town, knew everybody, and that was a good experience. I really didn't enjoy my high school experience at all. And part of that, I was an outcast, I guess. I wasn't part of the cool kids and all that. And so I really didn't enjoy high school that much. College, I don't remember being nervous the first day because I'd already been through Army
No,
training.
you were
and-
on into the military end, so
Yeah.
you've already gone through. You were probably nervous the first
Way
day there,
more
weren't you?
intimidating things than college.
Nervous. First day meeting drill instructors. No, that doesn't
That's
do
not
it
the right
justice. No, nervous is not it. Terrified.
Terrified. Okay. Yeah, so college was a breeze then. That was
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
this-
They
nobody's going to do anything to me if I get out of line. Okay, I'm good. I can go here.
Yeah. Yeah, basic training is 90% mental and 10% physical, and I just remember thinking, growing up with my mom and dad, these drill instructors, they could learn some things from my mom and dad. So they didn't make me cry at all.
Yeah, going back to school for me now is it's cake compared to like when I was a kid, when I was 18, because I didn't take it seriously at all.
Yeah, well, you're motivated.
Yeah, I'm motivated
That's
too. But yeah,
purpose.
like I was taught, you gotta go to college after you go to high school. There's no other option. That's what they taught you. Like so, I did. I went for criminology. I had not really any reason why. Just thought
Had to go to college.
Yeah, I go to college.
How about this?
Yeah, honestly. So it's
Yeah.
college now is awesome. I do love going to school online.
And you got a little more skin in the game. You're paying for
Yeah.
your college part of it, and so yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little more extra motivation.
Yep.
It
for
is.
sure.
Yeah,
I mean-
I got to get that degree.
Yeah, if
I
you
got,
flunk
I
out,
got,
that's
I got a
your
year
money.
left.
Yeah, when we went back to school, we never had meet the teacher nights. We never had all that
I don't think I did either.
So, for me, I was always, I hated going back to school because you didn't know who was going to be in your class. You didn't know which teacher you were going to get. You might have got a letter from the teacher or something in the summer, but you didn't see your class list, so didn't know how that teacher was going to arrange the desks, who you're going to be sitting by, all those kinds of things. So I was always nervous. I didn't like going back to school. Truth be told, I didn't really like school all that much, but I had a little different philosophy. I didn't like being there. I didn't like much about it, but since I was there, might as well do the best I can, and that was just kind of my approach to both middle and high school. Was I didn't want to be there, but since I had to be, make the most of it.
And see, that kind of surprises me because you're kind of a bookworm. You're kind of a you study stuff a lot. You're very knowledgeable. You follow the news.
Things he likes.
Things I
Yeah,
like.
yeah. It seems. I mean, that just.
So,
I don't know about you, David, but
mathematics
that I don't know about you, David, but that just kind of.
I was surprised a little bit too. Yeah, but I could
you-
see like if it was something he likes, then
Yeah.
because I'm sure you probably liked history more than you like math.
I did. I loved history.
Yeah.
It's true. I did love history, but
I
I was
did
good
too.
at math. So it was kind of one of
I
those.
was not.
I hated English.
Yeah.
I hated reading. I hated
man.
writing.
English is a huge. Writing's one of the biggest things you
and
have
I
to do.
write a 12 to 16 page term paper every week now. And
Yep.
I hated writing. Right.
And
That's,
no offense, Chris, but I've always thought of you as the young student, shall we say, that sits in the front row, right by the teacher's desk. So that's kind of. I guess that's why this has taken me by such shock because I saw you as probably the kid that wouldn't associate with me because I was always separated from everyone, trying to keep me quiet.
There were a lot of teachers that didn't like me for a lot of reasons. Just leave it at that.
Page two.
Page 2. So, if you're listening, you probably have kids or grandkids. Maybe you got younger kids, so you're not quite to this phase of life yet, but you're going to be sending them back to school. Maybe you're an adult, and God's brought you to a place in life right now where you're considering going back. Maybe you're not happy with your current level of employment. You'd like to pursue a different career, profession, trade, anything like that, and you're considering, going back to school and what that might entail. And so we just wanted to talk to everybody a little bit today. Obviously, share some of our experiences, but this idea of going to school, going back to school. Why does this matter to God? Does education even matter to God? How can we kind of tie these two things? So we thought we'd kind of start with our kids, because several of us have kids that are listening, and obviously David and I have kids in school right now, and we're sending them off into the unknown, where we don't have control over. I guess David's.
I was like, actually, no, I'm not. Yeah.
David's got all the Alyssa
Yes.
has all the control.
Which is how I love it.
And it's just how they love it. Unfortunately, at some point in life, you do have to release that control.
Yeah.
But how can we encourage people that are sending their kids back to school right now, that are worried about their kids going back to school? How can we encourage them? How can we help them? What kind of things should we as parents be doing for our kids as we send them back to school?
I think, the honest approach is right. And obviously, our student ministries takes a break over the summer. And we started back up this past Sunday. And that's one of the things we've talked about is going back to school, going back into the school system. And there's a lot of darkness there. There is. And that's kind of Christianese. There's darkness. And so I just pose that to the students. What when we talk about darkness, what do we mean? Because it says Jesus is the light, but what does darkness mean? What does all that even mean? And the darkness is, there's mean kids out there. Mm-hmm. There's, like you said, Chris, there's teachers that are not exactly fond of you, and maybe they don't even have a real good reason. Maybe they didn't like your older siblings, and they figure you're cut from the same mold. So there's a.
I was the older sibling, so
you were. I
apologize to my two sisters that came through after me.
You set the mold.
I set the mark.
So
they did.
There's some of the stuff that we see being taught, some of the stuff that we're seeing being just accepted as hey, this is the new way of life. But what God calls us to do is to be transformed into His likeness. And we are to be the light in that darkness. We're supposed to go to that kid that's sitting by themselves, at the lunch table. Or maybe, we see a student in the classroom that's struggling one way or another out on the playground, struggling one way or another, maybe physically. And we're supposed to be that person's friend, because those are the people that Jesus hung out with. He hung out with the outcasts, and He made them feel like they were truly loved.
As you were talking there, I this image came into my mind literally of us parents conversing with our kids and what to converse about, how to encourage them as they go into these atmospheres. And the first thing I thought of was the dinner table. This should be every day. I mean, there's events that happen, but every day you make a commitment to sit down with your kids and talk with them about their day, to encourage them. Not just ask how their day was going. We have that conversation every day, and both of my youngest children have now learned, okay, it went all right.
Not much info involved.
No information whatsoever at all.
I was that way too, though, as a kid. I remember. But
it was, you weren't asked the right questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in your context, you've sent your kids back to say public school. Hey, tell me about your day. Tell me about what you learned today. Not math. And what did you learn today? Did your teacher say anything today that just kind of made you kind of wonder, why did they say that? Did you overhear a conversation today that was just, you didn't quite understand or something? Or what Ken was just talking about, hey, who did you talk to today? Who did you encourage today? What kid? And then as parent, you must also be like, and hey, today at my job, I was talking with this coworker who's going through a difficult time, or I was praying with this person, and encourage them to have that kind of life within their environment. And then they are the light. They're different than everyone else. They're standing out. But that's only going to happen if we are really intentional and we question that, because that first time you ask them the question, well, who did you go and help today at school? What kid did you see in need that needed help? They're probably going to say, well, I didn't really help anyone.
Yeah.
But the next day they go to school,
maybe they're going to be kind of looking.
They're going to be looking for that, so they can answer that question differently the next time, because all human beings want to please other human beings. That's just part of how we're wired. And so when we plant that seed in their minds, if we ask our kids, hey, did your teacher say anything like just crazy today? No, it's because they weren't paying attention. But the next time their teacher says something that's just off the wall or crazy that should raise a parent's red flags, they're gonna pick up on that. Yeah. Because the radars are up. They're listening for something crazy, or some crazy thing to be announced at school, or some crazy event happening down the hallway that we need to be aware of as parents. It's the same thing with good things. We ask. I do this. My questions are too generic. I don't really poke to get an actual answer. I give them the freedom to say okay or nothing or whatever. I don't give them something specific that I know they have an answer to.
Yeah. I'm at a little different stage in life. We've actually got, almost 3 different stages. David's got a young son that's getting ready to start school.
Yeah.
Chris, you've got older kids, and then I've got grandkids. And so my wife and I have become very intentional that when we're hanging out with our grandkids, how's school going? Meh, it's okay,
Yeah.
if we're lucky. And so we've developed 2 questions that have to actually use words to answer, and that's, hey, what was the best part of your week this week? And then we're just quiet.
Yeah.
Kristen will ask that question of him.
Yeah.
What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day?
What was the worst part?
I do that at bedtime with him every night. I ask, what's something that made you happy today? And
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, and he loves that. He loves that time.
Perfect. Yeah.
Encouraging them. Encouraging your kids to do the best they possibly can at school. Why? Well, because in everything we do, we're to work as if working for the Lord. That's why. And parents, we should be doing the same thing at our jobs. We are working as if working for the Lord. That's how we encourage them to do their best. Yeah, maybe they're not good at a certain subject, or they're not. That's not their favorite class, or whatever. Okay, are you doing the best you can for the Lord? Not to please your teacher, not to please me, but to please Him. That's just a different way of approaching things as people of faith that we really need to get in the habit of doing. I was a teacher for 8 years, and I can't tell you how many parent-teachers conferences I would have where the student wasn't succeeding in a class, and the parent would come and say, well, I was never good at that either. Oh, okay.
Well.
All right, so you're just telling your kid you're a failure because I was a failure. So what? Don't we want our kids to do better than us? Like, isn't that...
It's not a great excuse.
No, but I'm telling you
but
what...
common, I'm sure.
All the time, especially in the math and science and English worlds. Like,
Yeah.
well, I was never good at math either, son, so you don't have to be. Well, but maybe they could be, right? So
Man, yeah, my mom was the opposite. Like, she was so good at straight A's,
Yeah.
and she was so confused why I wasn't.
why you weren't getting straight A's.
It sucked.
Yeah. It's a
You
mentality.
come from good stock. You should be doing
Yeah,
better.
be doing
she got straight.
great.
I got straight A's in this. I'm like, well, that's
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And anyway, well, I won't get into to my kids, but I've never challenged my kids in that. I want them to do the best they can possibly do, and the only time I'm upset is when they don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't set that standard because I don't know what that standard is for them. I'm not them, but I know it's probably better than
the minimum.
The minimum. Yeah.
They just gave.
Yeah, I told them, I said, I can accept lots of things, but just not turning in work. No, that's just lazy.
Yeah.
That's no
Yeah.
effort. I will not tolerate that. If you do poorly on a test that you studied hard for, okay, let's figure out what went wrong. How can we help you? Be more successful. But those are very different categories.
I think one thing that I found that upsets my my students in my youth group is they'll say, "Hey, I need you to pray for this test I have coming up." And I'm like, "Okay, here's how I'm going to pray for that. Is that I'm going to pray that you will get the grade for which you've studied. I'm not going to pray that you get an A if you haven't studied hard.
Yeah.
You've got to put some input into it. You got to put some effort into it." And so I just pray that you will get the grade for which you prepared.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
God
I don't
doesn't-
want that.
God doesn't honor laziness. What? Are you sure? I can't wait till the last second, stay up all night, cram.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
God's not going to honor that. No. Yeah. Probably not if you had other opportunities. If there's some circumstances of life that happened that prevented you from being able to study, and this is all you have, and
Sure.
you're asking for God for help, that's different.
Yeah.
Than I just didn't do it all week, and now, oh no, I just remembered I have a test this afternoon. I need to study in study hall. Right? Yeah. Well.
And it's not that kids do that, because I do that as well.
Yeah.
And
I try not to.
I've got to binge watch this show, because I'll study later, I'll write later, and then the next thing you know is like, oh no, I'm really kind of behind the ball on this. So, yeah.
You might notice a moment of radio silence from David. He had to take off to go to an appointment, so he'll be missing the last couple minutes here of the episode. So we didn't want you to think we muted his microphone and said, "David, we're done listening to you." That wouldn't be nice.
No,
We would not do that.
Nobody's censored on this show.
Not in that way, at least. No.
Yeah, and the other thing that we've talked about the kids portion of school, and something that is so important is that we send our kids off every morning in the best mental state that we can. We can't get up early and scream and holler all morning long and then expect our kids to have a good day. We just can't do that. So we need to be, as adults, we need to be getting the proper amount of rest as well.
Well,
it's hard to do.
It's no different for us adults if we get up in the morning and whatever goes wrong, we're out of coffee. I don't even drink coffee, but you get the picture.
Oh, I understand.
If something isn't right in your morning routine and it throws off your whole day, the adults can do that to our kids very easily. If we set the tone in the wrong direction, then their whole day is going to be off as well. And we obviously want them to succeed. So anything that we can do to help them with that.
And we as adults, we hopefully have some better coping mechanisms
should.
that we've developed through the years.
Yes.
But we got to remember these are kids sometimes, from kindergarten up. They're still developing. They don't know how to handle when, I want chocolate milk, not white milk,
Yep.
I'll admit there's been mornings where I go in to get coffee and either my wife or I have forgotten to buy coffee the night before and we're out and that messes with my day because I really do like my coffee, Chris.
You really need that in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, the water's never gone, thankfully.
Yeah.
This phase, so I'm good. I'm good in the morning.
Yeah. And so we have a kid that's having a meltdown, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's just chocolate milk. Well, that child, that's a big thing. That's their routine, and when you go messing with that, it could really mess with them bad.
Yep.
So we just need to keep in mind with that and show them how to cope with things like that. We need to be the light to our children. That's one of our most important jobs, is making sure our kids are nice and healthy, and that's mentally as well as physically and spiritually.
Yep. And to kind of end this and with a couple directions. The first one being parents. Again, we're the example, and so when we send our kids back to school to learn, I would just ask you, how are you learning in life? What are your kids watching you learn? How are they watching you grow and mature in your life, whether it's at your trade, your skill, your job, prayerfully in your faith? How are they watching you grow? Is learning important to you? Have they ever once seen you pick up a book and read? Have they ever seen you studying for something, to learn something, to improve your knowledge in something? If you make those things a priority in your life, well, guess what? It's not going to be so bad in theirs. It may not be of the same importance as it is to you, but that example will go a long way to setting that tone for them and their love for or appreciation for learning and for school. And that kind of leads to the end of, man, as a follower of Jesus, we are called to be lifelong learners. We should never stop learning. So where are you at in your faith? Are you learning right now? Are you growing, or are you just showing up and absorbing maybe whatever's there, but not learning it, not applying it, not getting better at it, not growing in your faith? We are called to be continually learning, no matter our age, no matter our physical health. We should be learning. We should be growing, maturing in our faith. That's a huge part of what Jesus asks us to do. So don't ever miss those opportunities. Again, you're setting an example for your kids, your family, your coworkers, your fellow family of believers, but you're improving yourself. You're growing closer to Jesus. You're becoming more like him. That's essential for us. And I think if more of our kids, more of our family members saw us individually doing that, they would follow suit. They would see that importance and value it as well.
So much more is caught than is taught.
Yep.
They want to see it. They don't just want to hear it.
Yeah, it's one thing to take your kids to youth group to drop them off so that they can learn. It's another thing for you to go to Bible study so you can learn.
Yep.
If you do one, you better be doing the other because they're going to pick up on that real quick. Why do I have to? You don't do any. Yeah, they're right.
Yeah. Can't argue with it. You can.
Yeah.
But not appropriately.
Not appropriately. Yeah, that's on us.
Not with any conviction.
So, yes. Well, I hope everyone's school year has started well. I know we're excited about things here in this fall and everything that's coming up. And so please be praying for us and our families. We'll be praying for you as well. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Three Guys in the Bible. It's been our back to school edition. Have a great rest of the week.